Hi, John.
Hello there.
Hi, how are you? I hadn't added myself onto this stream.
I'm here on 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock on the dot.
So I was talking to myself without
Oh, right.
having added myself onto the stream. That is so crazy, isn't it? So we're just going to give it a couple of minutes. I need to invite other people. So
Yes, yeah, yeah.
I'm going to do a link. Um,
Hi, John. How are you? Hi, Patty. How are you?
I'm
I'm
very
fine,
well.
thank you. How are you?
Is that you, Eddie?
I'm good. I'm good. Nice to see you, John.
Yeah, yeah. Is that you, Eddie?
Yes.
Yeah. Trying to recognize you by the voice only. I see a little dot in the middle of the screen. That's your photograph.
Now I've got my picture there with the chief.
Yeah, that's right. And all it does is pulsate when you speak. Very disconcerting.
Well, that's fine. It's good to see you.
Good to
Thank you,
see you.
Patty, for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
platform.
Thank
Sorry?
you.
I said
I
thank
think
you,
it's
Patty, for the platform.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
Cheers.
so welcome to all our viewers. Good evening. If you just give me a couple of minutes, I'm just trying to share the link. We have to multitask. Unfortunately, we have to do 20 things at the same time.
Only women can do multitasking. So I've heard.
Can you not multitask?
Of course not. One at a time. Yeah, yeah.
No, I have to. It's so important to multitask.
I'm jesting. I'm jesting. Everyone can,
So if I do
can't they, to some degree?
one more, I hope I'm not going to repeat where I have posted. So it might mean that I
If
am
I can, I've just engineered my photograph, so I've got the light coming out the top of my head. No,
okay.
let's go over there.
Right. So I feel as if I'm in a dark spot right now because I just can't. I can't work the lighting.
Lighting. Lighting is so important, Patricia.
I know. I
The
am going
older
to
you
work
get, the
on it.
more things you realise.
I am going to get some studio lights. I think I need to do that. It's high time.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah, studio light. I know you mean.
I
We've
need to
got one
create
of
this.
those over in the corner.
Yes. Hi, Vongai. Let me just add Vongai as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi,
Hi,
Vongai.
hi,
How are
how are
you?
you?
Hi,
I'm all
one
right.
guy.
Thank you. So wonderful to see you.
Hi, John, how are you?
I'm
Good to
very
see
good,
you.
one guy. Thank you.
So we're just going
Rongai,
to
how are
get
you?
Let's turn the volume up.
Hi, Eddie, how are you?
I'm good. Good. Good to see you.
Good to see
so
you too.
we're just going to get started now. So I'll just start off by introducing the radio. So my name is Patricia Chinyoka, and I am the host on the Political Trends program at Change Radio. And we are an upcoming digital radio broadcasting from across the globe. So we broadcast from the UK, USA, China, South Africa, Australia, etc. And we are growing. Our aim is to broadcast news affecting communities. And by so doing, we are raising awareness of issues that affect people. For example, uh, poor economies or COVID issues or issues to do with dictatorial governments. And our focus is on Zimbabwe, although we do broadcast global news, but we do focus on Zimbabwe. And we see ourselves as the alternative voice for Zimbabwe media because we know that the media in Zimbabwe is truly captured. I'm very delighted tonight to be joined by Wongai Mufara, a political activist, and Edward Raposo, also a political activist, and John Berg. I think you are everything, aren't you, John? Political activist, environmental activist, and you run.
Two
A,
hats.
pardon?
Two hats. Look, I'm wearing one now.
Yeah, two hats that you're wearing. And I know that Edward is going to be leaving us, so he's not going to be here with us. So I just wanted to check in with you first, Edward. What was your experience of, organizing a protest um, during climate conference?
Thank you so much, Patricia. Every step is a learning step. I experienced a lot of like it was a learning curve
You know,
organizing something which turned out to be successful and great. And I was so delighted being part of the organizers of this thing. As you know, it wasn't me alone. Wongai was there, and a couple of ladies around and gentlemen. So it was great. It was very great being part of the team, and teamwork pays always.
Okay, and how did you feel afterwards? Did you feel as though you'd achieved what you'd set out to do?
Um, the uh, the feeling was great. We achieved a lot. Like our aims and objectives, we managed to achieve everything. And what we went for, that's what we get. That was great. The response was tremendous, especially the media fraternity and uh, all the people around. They did come for a greater cause regarding our country and our showcase. That was great.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much for that. I think it's really important that people can, come away from these things. They take a lot of energy, of time, of resources to organize. And just coming to you, John, around the power of protests. What are your thoughts around that?
Well, I always think it's down to numbers. The more numbers, the better. I was staggered at the Sri Lankan group with up to 2,000 people turned up. And the impact of something of that nature, it just cannot be quantified in sort of press or anything like that. That's why we did tag onto them a little bit on the first day. But, protest, we have to have protest. If everyone assumes the government are always right, then we've got some serious problems. Governments are rarely right. And maybe on that, I should start off with a quotation that's either down to Groucho Marx or Ernest Benn. And he says that politics is the art of looking for trouble, finding it everywhere, diagnosing it incorrectly, and applying the wrong remedies. Now, which government does that remind you of? Because it reminds me of a lot. And included, it reminds me of the whole COP26. They're chasing the wrong tails, aren't they? They're chasing the wrong targets, which is why I think, hello to everyone from China. That's why the Chinese couldn't go along with their recommendations to demonize coal, to demonize gas, to demonize oil. These are vital power sources for most developing countries. And just because the West can potentially divest themselves of these things, it doesn't mean the rest of the world can.
Yes, it's such a shame, isn't it, that they forget that they're so advanced, much more advanced than the poorer nations. And when I think to the poorer nations, where would they get the money? They're struggling to feed people. They're just struggling. People can't get 3 meals a day. If I think to Zimbabwe, 1 meal a day for some families is a great deal. So how are they going to start talking about the environment and fighting it and whatever else it is that they were talking about and signing up to all of that?
That's right. Ignoring coal mines. You have several coal mines in Zimbabwe, which I'll come on to later. There's a lot of potential with coal mines. People don't understand the technologies that are available. Certainly at COP, they don't. They simply chant on for the same old thing. CO2, CO2, CO2. But, with politicians, limited understanding, they're good at following an agenda and chanting a rhythm, but that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah, thank you. And just to you, Vongai, you did such an amazing job organizing. What were your experiences? What did you take away from organizing the climate conference protests? Can she hear us, Vongai?
I'm not certain.
Because she looks as though I think she can hear now. Can you hear, Vongai?
I can hear. Come again, Patricia. I didn't get that.
Yes, just what were your experiences? I mean, having organized such a high profile, a protest is such a high profile event. What were your thoughts and what were your experiences overall?
To tell you the truth, Patricia, I actually underestimated this demo. Uh, when we started, we just thought it was going to be one of those demonstrations that we usually have, the ones that would go to Zimbabwean House and then we demonstrate and then, people talk about it and forget. But this one, I want to say this one took the prize, and this one surprised me, even as an organizer. It was not easy planning the demonstrations. It was really tough, even in terms of trying to get the place where we were going to demonstrate. It was not easy, but we then did it, and we were then hoping that people would then turn up, because on social media, people are always there. People are always advocating. We see activists from all corners, and we were expecting to see all these activists also coming for the 2 days demonstration. But I want to say I'm very happy for the with the 2 days that we demonstrated. I'm very happy with the results that came out of that demonstration. I'm very happy that it did send a message exactly where we wanted the message to go. So I'm very happy. Even the leaders themselves, some of them ended up calling protesters, which shows this has never happened, where you find a leader calling a protester to say, "Can we talk?" But we are happy. The message got there, and they know we are not happy. Their colleagues, other delegates that were there, they heard our messages, and they are actually responding to the messages that we conveyed on the day of the protest. So I'm actually quite happy with what we did for the 2 days.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And to you, John, what did you hope to get out of the climate conference protests? What was your aim? What was your vision?
Well, like one guy is saying, it's a novel experience because, from my point of view, with my twin hat situation, I was there to complain about COP themselves and the fact I feel they're targeting the wrong problem. But also, the fact that Mananagwa's going to come across with, at the time, it was reportedly 70 odd hangers on, which turned out to be 130 hangers on, including lots of fantastic titles like climate scientists and protocol managers. It was a farce, and they really made it easy for us. We didn't really have the numbers, but the actions of ZANU-PF UK and ZANU-PF themselves gifted us. It really gifted us some major opportunities. Really, I'm still laughing really at what they did. They got it so wrong. They got the whole ethos and the whole message completely wrong. Booze Cruise. Booze Cruise is the only thing people remember about ZANU-PF delegation. That's it. Just those 2 words. We can mock ZANU-PF with those 2 words now. And for Nick Mangwana to really champion that, to say, yeah, it's a party time, everybody, blah, 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 blah. It's the wrong mood, completely the wrong mood. We were so fortunate in that respect. If ZANU-PF had played a bit of a better game, we would have been an also-ran. But I think they really mucked up. They really mucked up big time, and they're still mucking up big time. So we came down to the petition on the 11th with the success of COP26 ringing in our ears. All we had to do was add a bit more write-up to our petition, and I'm sure Boris Johnson is laughing now about it. So yeah, we were very fortunate. I think the numbers we turned up with were not really enough. I've always wanted to see hundreds of Zimbabweans. There are 600,000 in the UK, and I'm just wondering where they all are. But we'll take it as it comes. It was a very successful protest on both levels. So we met a lot of interesting people, made some interesting contacts.
I think that's the beauty of these things, isn't it? Is that you end up meeting people and making connections. And I think, as you say, we were gifted by the cruise booze, and they went to the beach, and then they were having fun time, and after having fun time, turning around and saying it's sanctions that are holding
Yeah.
Zimbabwe back. How ridiculous could they get? I mean, that was just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then they ended up on Have I Got News for You, and they were in almost every prime paper in the UK. So
Yeah.
I think
All
it
the
was just a
mainstream
gift.
press. Yeah.
Yeah. But you talk about numbers and the fact that we don't always get the numbers that we need. And I'm just coming to you, Wongai. What are your thoughts on that in terms of, people not pitching up and having lower numbers than you would hope for?
Maybe I would start with this demonstration that the COP26 one. It has always, like you've said, Patricia, it has always been like that we do have a lot of activists who are here in the UK because we see them on platforms, we see them on social media. They are there. We've got almost everyone in the UK is not happy with what is going on back home. And you see them on social medias. And we always call them social media heroes, or whatever name we may want to give it. But yes, social media activism really works, but would definitely want to see numbers coming in. It was unfortunate that with the COP26, we were not so sure initially when we organized the demo on the exact dates when Mr. Mnangagwa was going to be coming to the UK. So we wanted to be sure, and we wanted the demonstration to be on the dates when it's going to be relevant for us to be demonstrating. So it also took a bit of time for us to also notify activists, to notify protesters on the exact dates, of which, yes, people kept on asking us about the dates, because I know almost everyone really wanted to come on board for this demonstration. Yes, so, but yeah, so maybe for this time we can then say the dates were not very clear, and I know a lot of people would have loved to participate in this demonstration and have their voice heard. But I would still go back to say we need to come together as Zimbabweans in the UK. Everyone is affected. Like I always say that everyone is affected, whether you're a political, an economic migrant. If you are here in the UK, you're being affected. If you came to the UK looking for greener pastures, you are affected, because you could have been home, working as a doctor, as a nurse, as a teacher, earning a good salary. If you are here because you've been a victim of political persecution, yes, you are affected. If you, for any reason why you had to move from Zimbabwe coming to the UK, you are a victim. You are a victim of ZANU-PF. You're a victim of Emerson Mnangagwa. A lot of us people here in the UK, we are fending for our families back home. We're still supporting able-bodied people who are supposed to be working, maybe as teachers, as nurses back home, but because they are not employed. I think the last time when I was checking, it was saying about 90% of the Zimbabwean population is not formally employed, meaning that most people are into informal employment, which is not what we want for a country like for our country. We love Zimbabwe, but what is happening back home is what's pushing us here. This is what brought us here. What's happening home is what brought us here in the UK. What's happening back home is the reason why we have to fend for able-bodied people who are back home. So we were expecting almost every Zimbabwean to come out. Look at the Sri Lankans. They were there in their thousands because they know what's happening back home is not good. So we expect the same thing from the Zimbabweans who are here in the UK, because I know those ones, even the ones who didn't come, they totally agree with what I'm saying right now. They may not say it, but everyone agrees to what I'm actually saying right at this point in time. So yes, we still implore people to say, please come on board, join us when we are protesting. These demonstrations, they actually yield results. You can see what has happened, especially with the last protest. you know, it was a success. I know a lot of people wished they were there. I had a lot of people calling me saying, you know, we underestimated this demonstration. We underestimated this protest. If we knew it was going to yield this much results, we were going to be on board. So I'm still calling upon on all Zimbabweans who are here in the UK to say, when we are calling for demonstrations, please let's come in our numbers. Our numbers mean a lot, and our numbers will make a difference.
Yes, and I think I quite like what you're saying there, Wongai, that all of us in the diaspora are affected because we are working and remitting money back home. So whilst we are here, we can't really have the best of a life, can we? A lot of people work to support family back home. And if back home was fixed and the economy was right and there were jobs, people back home would be doing their own thing. Maybe a lot of people wouldn't have come to this country. But you know, I mean, and this is a topic for another day. So you know what's happening in South Africa with the xenophobic behaviors that are beginning to show their ugly head again. So you know, a lot of people want to be back home, but I think the situation doesn't allow. For that. And Edward, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to what Wongai just said there about Zimbabweans not turning up in their numbers. But I also know that there's another challenge to this, and it is that people are afraid for their faces and for their names to be seen because there was already a backlash around the demonstrators that went to the climate conference. So I wondered if you had any comments to make, Edward.
Yeah, I do concur with what Bonga has just said. Yeah, Zimbabweans, we lack uh, that sense of responsibility for, because at the moment we are the only people who are responsible to fight for people who are home. We feel comfortable being here and we think everything is okay. But this is our chance for us to fight for people who are home, because back home, if we were home, we're not going to have this demonstration. We're going to be arrested and be turned away for some time and be tortured, or everything will happen to us. But this is our chance to work and make inroads for people who are home to be liberated. This is a struggle for Zimbabweans. This is a struggle for Zimbabwe. So, like what you said, the backlash is what people were afraid of, and people they are afraid of the regime. Mnangagwa came here with almost 40 of his ferret, 40 of his ferret to be woodwinking on people. So that's what people are afraid. In Scotland alone, we have plenty of people, more than 60, 70, but they wouldn't come out. But us, we throw everything to ourselves and go and meet the devil by the eyes, so that we liberate Zimbabweans. But from now on, let's work on one voice, shout on one voice, and try to work together, demonstrating against this evil regime. I
Yes.
want to thank you. I want to thank you. There are so many platforms which we can use to fight the regime. We've got MDCA, we've got ZO, we've got RAW, we've got ZAPU. We are working together so that we fight for a better Zimbabwe. So let's come together. The
Yes.
intimidation was there. A lot of things happened, but we need to come together for a purpose. And we are fighting even now. The ferret is after us, and intimidation is happening. But let's put that behind and fight for the people back home.
Yes, and you know, if I can just talk about ferret, some people might not understand what that means. So these are the CIO, these are the state agents that are on the ground working to identify people that go on to protest. And I don't always think that Zimbabweans don't want to protest. I think that there are other issues that come into play, and there's so many other ways that Zimbabweans in the diasporas, including supporters, one Zimbabweans, can help the struggle. But I wanted to go back to the motivation part before we move on, and I wanted to come to you, John. What was your greatest motivation for organizing? Because you worked so hard with the Zoom meetings, and you know all that organizing that went behind the scenes was a lot of hard work. What motivated you the most?
Well, just before we go on to that, let me raise an issue that might be relevant.
Quickly too.
I have a suspicion that ZANU-PF are scared stiff of the diaspora. completely petrified. But that's why they keep preaching the message of ferret people and spying and all of this thing. They are petrified. If the diasporas from all over the world could join up, because there's more in the diaspora than there are in Zimbabwe, as far as I can see. And so this is a key aspect to counter the fear of ferret teams and all sorts. They cannot operate in the UK the same way they do in Zimbabwe. And in fact, there was a few passages in the petition exploring the CIOs and the ferret teams and identifying individuals from ZANU-PF and asking for them to be deported by the United Kingdom. So again, this has caused ructions amongst the ZANU-PF people. These people should not be here at all. They should not be in the UK. They cannot work with impunity to carry out what they would have done in Zimbabwe. This is just an obscenity. The British law is on our side in this respect. Even so, if people are that worried, keep wearing the masks. Not that I like the masks, but keep wearing the masks. You can hardly recognize anybody with the masks on. But, so that's my point of view. But motivation-wise, motivation is, regarding Zimbabwe, is the utter injustice of what is going on in Zimbabwe. The level and depth of the abuse, the torture, the violence, the abductions is breathtaking. And my contention is not enough people in the British Isles understand what is going on in Zimbabwe. They've heard about it, but they don't understand the significance. The function of Zorro, I believe, our organisation, is to bring this to the public's interest, to make them aware of what is going on in Zimbabwe. And it is completely unacceptable. It's unjustified and unacceptable. I mean, we did warn Alok Sharma, who's the president of COP26, and Vicky Ford, who's the Minister for Africa, that ZANU-PF would embarrass the UK and the United Nations. We sent that Twitter to them on the 29th of October. I need to remind them of that, because we did give them warning. And I'm certain even the British are reeling from the experience of what these ZANU-PF people did at COP26. They've shamed themselves to such an extent and made the country a laughing stock, which in itself is a tragedy. It should not be a laughing stock. Zimbabwe is a very, very wealthy country, but all that wealth is being siphoned off by a rich military-backed elite who need to be gone. ZANU-PF must go is the only thing that motivates me regarding Zimbabwe. But regarding my motivations for COP26, I just feel that the government, it's aimed at big government. It's aimed at a global government solutions, whereas I feel much more human nature, human level, issues can resolve any problems they seem to have about pollution, waste, and excessive energy usage. All of these things are controllable by us. If we had a solar panel on the roof or a wind turbine in the back garden, if we use the sun's power to heat up our houses more than the central heating, all of these things, if we all use less fuel, then there wouldn't be the issue that these people seem to be focused on. Not that I think they've got the right solution. As I said earlier, I think they've misdiagnosed the thing entirely.
Yeah, that's the tragedy, isn't it? Is that it's a political. I think the environment and the climate conference have become such a political issue now that they've veered away from what it looks like. But my argument always for Africa is that yes, we should be doing things, but we're not quite right there. For Zimbabwe, just going back to Zimbabwe, is that the World Food Programme predicted that just over 8 million Zimbabweans are at risk of hunger. Today I was talking to someone in Zimbabwe, and they were telling me that it's extremely hot. So it means that it's not raining, and producing food is going to be really hard. And so what are people going to live off? We already have families that are going to bed hungry. So the government needs to tackle the basics around the people agenda. And you know what? I'm not getting anyways with my message around the people climate. So I've been tweeting, I've been talking about it, and I feel that, maybe we need bigger voices that can come on board and pick up the people climate issues in Zimbabwe need resolving, need dealing with, particularly when we talk about the human rights issues, the corruption that is going on. And this morning, I had a phone call from somebody that you're probably going to see more of. It's going to be very visible within the type of work that we do, talking to me about the corruption, the looting, and all of the siphoning of money and the minerals that we have in Zimbabwe. So I think that's the starting point for Zimbabwe. If they can do that, then we are onto something. But I fear that all that ZANU-PF are interested in right now is holding on to power at whatever cost, and that is a real tragedy.
Just one other issue that I need to raise: as the temperature rises in Zimbabwe and the sewage system, the sewage is running in the street, you will see more cholera and typhoid. There's a direct correlation between sewage in the street and those two illnesses. And no amount of vaccination is going to cure it. The underlying problem is the failure to maintain the sewage systems in Harare and now in Bulawayo for anything like the last 41 years. It's a travesty. And this is man-made. This is nothing to do with climate. These are man-made negligence by ZANU-PF, deliberately done. They've looted the maintenance funds because they don't see the benefit. That's the sort of people they are. Self.
Yeah, I know. But before I go to our last questions, we've got a few more. I just wanted to come back to, when we were talking about the motivation and the power of protests, because we were reading in the press about some of the challenges that you encountered. So, we know that Shepherd Yuda's car was damaged. And I don't know, Bongai, if you are comfortable talking about some of those impacts, and then I'll come to you, John, so you can talk about some of those negative impacts that you all experienced. So if I come to you first, Bongai. Yeah, Bongai. So, John, do you want to go, and then we can come back to Bongai?
Sorry.
Yes. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
All right. Oh, thank you, Patricia. I wanted to say, like you've mentioned it before, to say Zimbabweans in the UK are scared because of the persecution that follows after demonstrations. Yes, the issue of Shepherd Yuda's car being vandalized is not a secret anymore. Everyone knows about it. Shepherd after the day after the protest, and I've been receiving phone calls, and I've had people come to my house, and this is part of the persecution that we are talking about. I know it's a mind game. There's nothing that they can do here in the UK, but this is what we are talking about. We are here in the UK where we feel safe, and then the president brings his 130 people, his security detail, his security personnel to come to the UK so that they can start terrorizing people that are here in the UK who have left Zimbabwe to seek sanctuary here in the UK, who have left Zimbabwe to come here because it's not bearable in Zimbabwe. This is the power of the protest. And this right there shows how the regime is afraid of us protesting, how the regime is afraid of us demonstrating here in the UK. And there's really nothing to stop us. The police are aware of all these incidents that are happening, and the police are monitoring us as we are going around as well, just as much as they are monitoring us. Because we hear that there were people who were being followed, there were people who are receiving weird phone calls, but this is the same reason why we are demonstrating, because they have been doing these things to people in Zimbabwe, and we are saying not here in the UK. We here in the UK, it's a democratic country where protesters are allowed to go and demonstrate, where protesters are allowed to air their views publicly, and this is one of the reasons why we were also demonstrating, because political and human rights activists in Zimbabwe are being persecuted for airing out their voices. We may want to talk the likes of Ahopo Chingono. He was being persecuted for bringing up the corruption issue. We may want to talk about Marco Borero, who's been imprisoned because of demonstrating, because of speaking out. And this is some of the reasons why we still going to go in demonstrations. We are not happy with the corruption that is happening in Zimbabwe, and we are not happy that the president himself is the one who's pioneering these activities. He is involved in the corruption. He is actually leading the cartel. He's participating. Look at the drugs issue. He is involved. Look at the sorry, I was trying to find the right word, where they've arrested Priska Mpumira, where they've arrested the health minister, Obadiah Moyo. It's just catch and release. And the president is himself. That's the reason why we are saying we're not happy with the catch and release that is happening, because the president himself is involved in this corruption. He's benefiting from these corruption activities. So we are going to still continue to demonstrate, because we know this is affecting us. This is affecting our country. We are not only doing this for us. We've got children. We've got our children's children who wants to benefit when the regime is long gone. So we still want a Zimbabwe that is good for our children, that is good for our grandchildren, the generations to come. This is what we are fighting for. The first disappearance is that the president is quiet. He doesn't say anything. The abductions, the rape campaigns that he's leading in Zimbabwe. We've got political and human rights activists being abducted and being raped, and people, just turn a blind eye and they don't say anything about it. As the president, Emerson Mnangagwa, is supposed to stand and say something. The reason why he's not saying something is because he is involved. He is aware of these things happening. He knows this is the way of clamping down dissent. But we are here in the UK. We are not going to be silenced. The diaspora community is not going to be silenced, because where we are, we've got a democratic right to demonstrate. So we will demonstrate. We will speak out. I am happy so far from the time when we had our demonstrations, the COP26 demonstrations. The UK is listening. The UK government is listening to us. The response that you saw from the UK government is because of what the demonstrations that took place during the COP26 conference. I know the clergy has visited the Archbishop of Canterbury, but I am sure we were all listening to the response from the Archbishop of Canterbury. He said that they will make sure that the thieves will not continue to line their pockets with public funds or with any funding that the UK may want to give to Zimbabwe. So they are listening. This is the power of demonstrations. This is the power of protest. So we are going to continue to demonstrate until we see change in Zimbabwe, until the corruption ends, until abductions and torture comes to an end, until Emerson Mnangagwa stops the rape campaign that he is running with at this point in time.
Thank you so much for that, Fongai. And you talk about Makomborero Haruzivishe, imprisoned for 14 months for just fighting, merely asking for change. There's 5 more other activists that were imprisoned in 2019. And we need to start fighting for them too, so that their names can be out there. And so we'll be starting a campaign. So each time we come to these platforms, we will also share those details. And now, just coming to you, John, can you tell us what you've been through in terms of the negativity and what you've done and what is happening?
Well, just as a matter of interest, to add on to what one guy was saying, any incident of intimidation or oppression should be reported regularly to our police. Our police will listen. This is not Zimbabwe, where the police are not on your side. The police are the enemy in Zimbabwe. But in the UK, they will listen. They may be annoyed that there may be 20 or 30 reports, but they all get recorded. So this is all evidence against ZANU-PF UK, which is what we're trying to target at the moment. But my own experience, I couldn't believe the abuse I've had. It's almost hilarious. And from a chauvinistic point of view, what a hero. Hundreds of women, apparently. But, you know, if anything, he should have been more subtle. It's not made any difference to me because, you know, I'm a British citizen, which he completely got wrong, of course. I don't have dual passports. All of this stuff, he fabricated 23 separate items about me and about the women that were there. And it's clear that he hates women. And this is reflected in the upper echelons of ZANU-PF themselves. They detest women. They just pay lip service. But at the end of the day, they see them as a punch bag, I'm afraid to say. They are terrible, terrible men. And that's the absurdity of accusing me of stealing money, abusing women, and them getting visas by sleeping with me. You know, it's farcical, and we're interesting backwards and forwards. But I've sent a return to sender message back that allowed me to point out all the things we've done to make him annoyed, which I did with great aplomb in an article I produced as a rebuttal. And then I itemized the 23 items of fabrication he's done. But he's still accusing me of abusing all the women and everything. But as I say, as a British subject, it doesn't make any difference to me. I know this is just empty, hollow insults. And strangely enough, on his Twitter account, nobody's liking what he's saying. Nobody, not even ZANU-PF, who he's roping into these conversations. There are 0 likes and 0 retweets. So I think even ZANU-PF do not like this man. So, well, this criminal, I should say, because he's a failed lawyer, a corrupt lawyer, and he was thrown out of the Corby magistrate structure for failing to disclose a fraud case in Zimbabwe. So this is the sort of guy we're dealing with, a lying cheat, who's basically, I think a CIO has been given a legal qualification and been told to go out to the UK and cause as much mayhem as possible. But he's not that bright, is he? I don't think so. You know, it doesn't worry me. But I'm lucky, you know, being a man, this doesn't worry me, okay? If I was a woman, it would be a different issue, I'm sure. Because, you know, the more vulnerability that women have to men, you know, as you're talking about the horrendous rape campaigns, which I find difficult to even think about. It's so repugnant to me that the depths to which some of these drones that they employ sink to in abusing lots of women like this is appalling. You know, I love every single Zimbabwean woman I've come across, and I don't mean in a biblical sense. I mean, I like them. They're really good people. But to dismiss them as objects of desire, I just can't do that. It's beyond my imagination. It's beyond my comprehension to understand the mentality of people who do this. They're subhuman. They're below human, these people who are doing this. And there's no place for them in any country, in any democracy at all.
Yes, thank you for that. And I hope that the British government have learned. I think that they were set up to fail and they failed spectacularly. I think ZANU-PF was set up to fail. And so what do? After harping on about no sanctions mantra, they charter a plane, 130 individuals that were earning, we don't know how much per day, is expenses and subsistence. And then they went off, swooning off to do their shopping, and then returned back with their tails behind their backs, I think. And then arrived in Zimbabwe, and there was this big organized, people were busting from all over the country to welcome him. And then he starts talking about the fact that Boris Johnson, was it Boris Johnson or Biden, who smiled at him? Oh, he smiled at me, and he really smiled at me, and it was like, "Hello, are we really listening to this? Are we?" It was
He
so
was laughing
embarrassing.
at him. He wasn't smiling. He was laughing at you, Mananagua. He was
Yeah,
he was saying, "Don't come near me, mate."
I think it was, yes. And so I just wanted to then ask, we've got about 10, 15 minutes left. Um, so since the end of these protests, what message do you have for Mnangagwa? If I come to you, John, first, what message do you have for Mnangagwa? But there's also the second element, which is the British government. They
Mm.
need to listen to us. They need to listen to the people that are raising these issues. So, what message do you have to the government of Britain, and then to Mnangagwa?
Well, they have 36 pages of evidence to wade through, and I think the civil servants tasked to do that will have a difficult time because it's concentrated material. There's no flannel; it's all solid, evidence-based information. So, firstly, they've got to wade their way through that, and I think this time they will take it a bit more seriously. So, whether they do or they don't, the material is available as public information now. It is available on our websites. It's been bandied around. Even Mazava's seen a copy of it, and obviously doesn't like it. And the thing is, what we're going to do next. I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do next, but ZANU-PF will be further embarrassed. I can assure you. ZANU-PF UK and ZANU-PF themselves will be reeling from our next moves, and I can't tell you any more than that because it is so powerful. And I think it's best to keep them guessing simply because, simply because.
Yeah. Did you just mention a website, John?
Well, yeah, the Zorro website, zhro.org.uk. There's
Yes, because
several articles on there now.
So we've got Team Trombas who's asked. So I'm just going to put in there ZHRO and then
.org.uk. There are several sections. We have a blog section. We have human rights in the UK. We have Zimbabwean section and other aspects. So go through that. There's about 20 separate articles there. Again, all evidence-based with material that you can download and research, and everything's referenced. There are websites linked. There are quotations. In the petition itself, we had quotations from lords and ladies, from MPs. We're not on BBC and ITV and Amnesty International and the American Embassy. We're not talking about local people's opinion. We're talking about international bodies condemning what is going on in Zimbabwe to the extent where basically the Americans are fantastic. And even the Lords quoting the Americans saying, were you aware? They asked in the House of Lords recently on the 28th or 29th of October, that were they aware of the gold smuggling by Mnangagwa's niece? And our government said, well, they weren't, which to me, more than raised my eyebrows. They went out through the top of my head. How are they not knowing these things?
They do.
What's the embassy doing in Zimbabwe? What's the British embassy actually doing there? Apparently not a lot, apart from wearing the odd scarf, which has to stop. They cannot, fawn over ZANU-PF anymore. They have to go to the NGOs. They have to look at the opposition. They have to engage. It's our government that needs to engage, not necessarily ZANU-PF, because it's beyond their mental capacity to engage.
Yeah, I think that sometimes the embassies drink a lot of tea, so they go to garden parties.
No, there you go.
I don't have the evidence, but I'm just thinking that, there's a lot of tea drinking that goes on, and, we need to hold them to account.
Yeah,
We need
exactly.
to hold the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office to account.
100%.
We need to do some action outside their office. I don't know whether that's allowed to do an action against that type of office.
Oh, yes, it is. The Biafrans did it only a few weeks ago. About 50 of them went outside, and I heard them shouting outside the Foreign Office. No, it's all good stuff. You need the press with you, but yes, it's all good stuff.
Yeah, I think that needs to happen because they are complacent, and they are buying into well, I don't think they really buy into the false narrative, but I think that the diplomacy gets in the way. They're much more diplomatic, and they're impartial, and it's not helping the cause of the Zimbabwean people. And we need to move this agenda along. We need to understand their policies for Zimbabwe. I think that's really critical. As a Zimbabwean people, we need to see those policies for Zimbabwe. We need to challenge those policies, and we need to ask the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office to do more, to speak up and to call out the bad governance and the human rights abuses. And just coming to you, Vongai, what's your message to Mnangagwa and to the British government?
To the President of Zimbabwe, to Mr. Mnangagwa, the message is still the same. We are going to protest. We are going to demonstrate. We are going to lobby to every office that is here in the UK and any other organization that is willing to listen to our plea as Zimbabweans who have been displaced, and for Zimbabwe, and also for our relatives, for our families back home, for our colleagues back home. We are not going to be silenced by any form of propaganda that that is being thrown at us. You have had the John Bucks issue, but I've said the writer actually wants to gain momentum using us as activists. So as for me, I'm actually going to not give him a listening ear. I'm actually going to block and not even do anything about what he put down on his article, because he wants to be relevant using human rights activists, using political activists. So as far as that writer and that article is concerned, we are not going to entertain it, and we are not even going to even think about it. We are already moving on from whatever propaganda he was trying to put down. So to the president, as long as there is no change in Zimbabwe, demonstrations, protests, they are going to keep going on. We are going to lobby, like I've said. We write to our MPs, we write to the parliament. We will continue to do that, and we will continue to air our voices and to lift and speak and advocate on behalf of people of Zimbabwe, on behalf of our brothers and sisters who are being back home, being persecuted, on behalf of the Zimbabweans that are hungry, on behalf of Zimbabweans that are unemployed, on behalf of Zimbabweans that are suffering because of the corruption that is happening. As long as there is no change, and as long as we don't see the corruption, people who are corrupt, including himself, being clamped down, as long as we do not see the judicial system being fair, as long as there's still persecution, abductions, corruption, torture, we are going to continue to demonstrate and lobby. And 2023, we are actually raising awareness to say to the people of Zimbabwe, do we still want 5 more years with the regime at the rate at which they are going, with the corruption? If we give them 5 more years, what's going to happen? What's going to be of Zimbabwe? What's going to be of the generation that is going to come after us? So to Emmerson Mnangagwa, we want to see a change. For the tenure that you are left with, we want to see a change. As long as there is no change, you can blame sanctions, but the whole world knows now that it's not sanctions. There are only a few people that have been sanctioned. There are a few people and other entities that have been sanctioned. It's not the Zimbabwean people that have been sanctioned. There are still business deals that are happening, and we know the regime is lining their pockets with the money and with public funds as well. So we are going to continue to demonstrate, and we are going to continue to raise our voice until we see a change in Zimbabwe. To the British government, we are just saying we want to see the regime being held accountable for the human rights violations that are happening back home. So like I've said, we are just going to continue to lobby. still going to knock on our relevant doors and try to get our audience. We are not stopping now. We are still going to continue to raise awareness of these violations, human rights violations that are happening back home. So it's not over. It's over when we see change in Zimbabwe. Yes.
Thank you so much. And Sebastian Kudzai Mutasa says we need new leadership. So just in response to what you're saying, Wangai, there, that the core message is ZANU PF must go, and if they can go tomorrow, would like it for them to just get out and go tomorrow.
Yeah,
Just wrapping up now.
it's clear.
Thinking about.
Can I say something?
Yes, please do
Patty?
go ahead. Sorry, yeah, do go ahead, Edward.
Okay, I've got something for Mr. Emerson in this ZANU PF for Cabal. What you want in Zimbabwe is change, and they've failed these guys to change anything. They've been there for 40-something years. They failed to do anything. There's no accountability. There's no government. All they do is up to them. They are not a people-based government. They do what they want. All the apparatus are captured among themselves. Judiciary is captured among themselves. The police is captured to them. Soldiers, the same thing. All we're asking for them is to go. We don't want them anymore. And we want electoral reforms. We want that ZEC to be disbanded. We want a new voters' roll, and we want an open air for everybody. Let Chamisa go wherever he wants. They are still blocking him and doing all sorts of things. They can't even follow their constitution. We want a free Zimbabwe for everybody. There is no ZANU PF stronghold. There's no ZANU PF inroads. It's our country. That's what we demand. And as long it continues, we will not rest this side. A lot will come and we will not even tell them. And it's coming. For the UK government, we want protection of us here and people back home. You are harboring some terrorist ZANU PF people in this country. They can't go to Zimbabwe and enjoy what they say Zimbabwe is enjoying. They want to be here. Nicky Mangwana's children are here, and he said Zimbabwe is free. And a lot of them, they are all around the world, but they are saying Zimbabwe is free. It's not free. That's what we are saying. If it's free, let them stay in Zimbabwe. They can't. They should go to Zimbabwe first. That's what we are saying. So demonstrations will continue and we will be knocking at every door. The petition will go after it until it's delivered. The UK government is different from the Zimbabwean government. I stopped getting petitions to Zimbabwe because they don't even care about them. But the UK one, they do listen to you. And very soon it will start shaking. And we'll be going after everything. And what we are crying for the UK people, protect us so that you protect the people back home. I thank you.
Thank you so much
thank you very
for
much.
all of that. Such amazing comments and discussions there. And just wrapping up and thinking about future protests, John, what have you got planned for the future? Are you expecting a response from number 10? You handed in that petition on the 11th. What are you expecting?
Well, I'm expecting 2 to 3 week wait for the petition because they say there was a great deal in there. But what we're doing next, we ain't telling. We're not telling. We're stum. Keep quiet. It's a surprise for ZANU PF, but a big surprise for ZANU PF, and it'll hurt them. And that's the best way. There's no point trying to point out what we're going to do. We're just going to end up doing it. And as Eddie says, the protest will continue. Vongai is saying the same. The protest will continue until ZANU PF goes. I'm far too impatient to wait for 2023. Far too impatient. Yesterday would be good for them to have been gone. But if it's going to be tomorrow, let it be tomorrow. So yes, we've got a lot planned. We've got a full agenda planned. But now is not the time to discuss that. We are strategizing that at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate the fact that we can talk about the strategies openly to people. So it's really important that everything can be under wraps until it happens. I think that's the best way to do it. And just as we close, is there anything you want to add, Vongai and Edward? Is he still here or he's gone?
Looks like Edward.
Hello, sorry, I just missed the last one there.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Just as we close, was there anything you wanted to say?
I just want to encourage everyone. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just want to encourage every Zimbabwean who's here in the UK, every Zimbabwean in the diaspora, every Zimbabwean who's in a country where they are allowed to air their views, where they are not clamped down like in Zimbabwe, to say ZANU-PF needs to go, and like what you've said, Patricia, it needs to go as soon as possible, not even wait for 2023. Let's continue to speak about it. Let's continue to raise our voices. Let's continue to speak on behalf of people that are back home that cannot speak because they'll be persecuted. It's our duty when we are out here. It's our duty as Zimbabweans who have made it out of Zimbabwe, but we want to go back. We want to go back home at some point. So it's our duty to fight for human rights for Zimbabweans who are still back home, to fight for the future of our children and the generation to come. And it's our duty, the ones that are in the diaspora, the ones that are back home. Social media is there. Let's continue to raise our voices. Let's continue to show the whole world what's happening and what's happening in Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And John, any last words from you?
No, I think we've said it all. And Vongai and Eddie are, they've got true spirit and heart in the whole process. This is all about Zimbabwe. This is not about individuals. Everything is subservient to the Zimbabwean issue. And we must forget self, if you like. For maybe 2, 3, 4 hours a week, we can forget about self and think about the bigger picture. And that's all I can say to all the Zimbabweans on a global basis. That's Australia, North America, everywhere. This is what needs to be done. The fight is still on. The fight is coming to ZANU-PF.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I think that's a nice message to close on, is that we should forget about self at least a few hours a week and focus on Zimbabwe. The fight is on, and the fight is going to ZANU-PF. We are taking it to their doorstep, whether they like it or not. We need to remember the bigger picture. The bigger picture is a free Zimbabwe, a Zimbabwe that will be prosperous, in which everyone will have the freedom to be themselves, where there will be dignity of human rights, respect for individuals, respect for women, because we know that women are a group that suffers the most in that country. They when we think back to 2019 and what happened, using state agents as a weapon of war and using sexual violence against women. So there's all of those that is going on. And we want to remember the heroes that have been incarcerated. So Mako, 14 months in prison for merely calling out bad governance. Let's remember him. Every Monday, there is Mako Monday every Monday, when we raise our voice to remember Mako. There are 5 other activists that were jailed in January 2019, and we want to remember those. We have all the other leaders that are going through the court processes. We've got the MDC Alliance Trio, Joanna Mamombe, Cecilia Chimbire, Netai Marova, and we know what they suffered last year. So we want to remember them. We also want to remember the MDC Alliance President, Nelson Chamisa, and what he is suffering. Today, I was reading on Twitter that they were already blocking him in Nkai, in Matabeleland South, where he is touring the country, and we saw what happened to him. So as the Zimbabweans, the call to action is, let's converge for change. Let's come together. Let's work together. Here in the diaspora, there are so many opportunities for people to get involved. You can join in the protests. So we've got John here, we've got Vongai, we've got Edward. They organize great protests. You can add your voice by coming to those protests. You can give money to support the work that is going on in Zimbabwe. You can tweet, you can be on social media. So those are some of the call to actions. Let's converge for change. So thank you so much to our 3 fantastic guests for tonight. And hopefully you can join us again. Sometimes we're on Twitter, sometimes we are here, but we will advertise where we'll be. So I want to say thank you to all of our viewers and to everybody that contributed tonight. And we shall see you again on another Tuesday. Good night and bye-bye.
Bye-bye. on a Wednesday.
Thank you. Bye.
Wednesday.
Time moves faster the older you get.
Yeah, so just a few last comments coming in from the people there
Glad
that I'm going to share. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye, Team Trombus. So bye. Thank you.
Bye.